Hi, I'm Chris Watterson, an artist, an instructional designer, and doctoral student at Boise State University. My family and I have a lot of crazy stories, like a lot. So it was really hard for me to decide which story to tell you today, but here it is. Once upon a time, when I was a teacher and before my husband and I had kids, I taught art and biology at a small school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was getting ready for school one day and leaving the house early in the morning. My husband was still in bed complaining that his stomach was just hurting. He didn't know why or what was going on. He had been restless all night and even moaning in his sleep, which woke me up, so neither of us really slept very well. I kissed him and said I hoped he felt better, and I stopped in the kitchen to grab my coffee cup. I noticed there was a dish in the sink, which was odd because I could have sworn I did the dishes last night. It had some weird smear around in it, like, was it peanut butter? So weird. I shrugged it off and headed to work. Later, during my biology class, I got a phone call. It was my husband. I told my class to hold on for 1 minute while I took this call, since he really wasn't feeling well and I wanted to make sure he was all right. He told me he had this crazy dream of eating the world's largest peanut butter and banana sandwich. And then later, when he saw the bowl in the sink, he realized he actually got up and made that sandwich in the middle of the night. I gasped because I realized the 3 bananas, which were originally intended for banana bread, had been sitting on the kitchen counter last night. But when I left this morning, they were missing, and I didn't even realize it until right then. And what's worse is they were way past due and should have been thrown out, but I hadn't done it yet. So, mystery solved. He ate a rotten banana and peanut butter sandwich with 3 bananas in his sleep last night. I lost it. I was laughing so hard I was crying. I had to explain to my class what was going on, and then they erupted in laughter. There was no getting back to biology that day. In our culture, once upon a time is a trigger phrase that causes us to respond with anticipation for what comes next. What's happening? Who's involved? Where did it happen? Did they live happily ever after? Stories are humanity's oldest form of pedagogy. Humans have passed knowledge from one to another through story since earliest remembrance because information is much easier to remember when it's packaged in a story. Our brains are wired for story, just like you were ready to hear one when I said once upon a time. We relate and connect to each other empathetically through the stories we share. Just as you might feel you know me a little bit better through my story about my husband's mysterious stomachache. Even our perception of reality and our sense of identity is tied socially to the stories we tell others and ourselves. Storytelling is connected to constructivism because stories take place in the mind and build upon existing understanding and experiences and connect to new ideas as the listener relates to the storyteller's experiences. Storytellers and listeners are co-creators in that shared experience. Humans have mirror neurons in our brain that, as we listen to narrative, they allow us to imagine ourselves in the narrator's shoes. Our brain is so amazing that it actually simulates the experience within our own mind. This is why flight simulators are so effective as a low-risk teaching tool. Pilots can practice flying, gain experience, and understanding of plane operations without even leaving the ground. Stories are memorable and improve learning retention. Everyday details may be forgotten with time, but a single story can be remembered even years later. When instructors incorporate stories, learners not only connect better with the instructor, but they also retain the information longer. Adding visuals, as we have here, becomes a dual coding method wherein the oral and visual aspects are each encoded in our brains separately, doubling the opportunity to be recalled. This is another reason why stories can be so impactful in learning and retention. Instructors who incorporate personal stories connect better with their learners. The learners feel they are getting to know the instructor as a person. They begin to trust them more and feel more comfortable sharing and responding in class. As Rance Green states, if you connect with your learners, you can train them to do anything. Additionally, students need to build that trust in a group before they feel comfortable sharing their own experiences. They need to feel safe and that they won't be cast out based on what they share. And adult learning theory suggests that adults learn from each other and the experiences of individuals in the group through shared stories and discussion. So stories, trust, and connection can be powerful factors in social learning. Stories have the power to transform our thinking in so many ways. When we listen to a story, we are so immersed in the events, the characters, the beats of the plot, that we let our guard down and imagine ourselves in that scenario. This is when the information can sneak in. Like a Trojan horse, stories convey nuggets of truth wrapped in entertainment. Or like an unassuming bonbon with the truthful peanut butter center cloaked in delicious chocolate. You receive something true and relatable along with something engaging and fun. As Shane Claiborne writes, you don't argue people into new ideas. You story them in.